I, along with 1,000 other content creators on YouTube, have tried to predict what the next Smash Bros. Game could be. But the truth is, there's so many routes that they could take, there's so many different directions that they could take for this next game because of the type of game that Ultimate was. So I've narrowed it down to 5 options that the next Smash Bros. Game could take. We're going to go through each of them one by one. I'm going to put them in order from what I least want into what I most want. So let me walk you through 5 different options for the next Smash Bros. Game. Number 1, something they could do, and this would be the Darkest Timeline. This would be something that we don't want to happen ever, but this technically could be an option with what we've seen Nintendo do with some of their other games like Mario Wonder and stuff that was on the first Switch. That option is Smash Ultimate Port. I know, it sounds kind of scary, so just calm down, let's talk about what this would mean. A Smash Ultimate port more than likely would be them putting Smash Ultimate on the Switch 2, making a Switch 2 version for it, and adding maybe a couple new characters and a couple new modes, but nothing that crazy. Kind of what they did with Mario Wonder, at least that's what it looks like, where they're porting it to the Switch 2, they added Rosalina as a character, and they've got some new levels and stuff, but more or less it's going to be the same game. This would suck. This would really suck, because we would be waiting all this time for a Smash Bros. Game on the Switch 2, and it would just end up being Smash Bros. Again, with a couple new characters and some, new stages and some new modes. So I really hope this isn't the option that they take. Okay, this next option is going to sound the same from what I talked before, but it is technically different, and this would be a Smash Ultimate Deluxe. So this would be similar to what they did with Mario Kart from the Wii U to the Switch, where it is Ultimate again on the Switch 2, but they add a whole lot of new content. So it would be Ultimate again, but they add, like 10 new characters, a lot of stages, and maybe some kind of adventure mode and some new modes. They really try to make it have a lot of new content and be a different game. I know this is like in order of like what I don't want to what I want the most, but this wouldn't be that bad. Honestly, it wouldn't be that bad to get maybe 10 new characters, a couple new stages, and some stuff like that would be fine. Ultimate is a great, game to build off of if you're gonna do something like that, so I really wouldn't mind if that was the case. I mean, a lot of Smash Bros. Games are adding 15 to 20 characters and a whole lot of stages and a whole lot of content. This would be just a kind of a lesser version of that, but just getting anything new would be okay with me. So I actually don't mind this option that much. It would probably piss a lot of people off because it wouldn't be a new game, but I think it would be an okay route for them to go with. Okay, option 3 is a different option than what I've been talking. It's a completely different option than what I've been talking about with the last two, and that is a full-on reboot with 30 to 40 characters, probably more like 30, probably like 30, 35 characters. Smaller roster. The characters are redone. A lot of characters would be cut. Obviously, every character that's there feels like a new character. A lot of the classic Nintendo characters would come back, like Mario, Samus, Link, Donkey Kong, Kirby, Pikachu. You'd have the mainstays, some side characters from some series, but every character would be made new. It would be like a full new game, completely new stage selection, new adventure mode, complete reset for the series. I've seen a lot of people talk about this, mainly because they're like me and they want a lot of the older movesets to feel new, or to give older characters new movesets, which is something that I've advocated for on this channel quite a bit. I wouldn't hate this, honestly. I would hate to see a lot of my favorite characters go, but it would also be very cool to see a lot of older characters get completely new and reimagined movesets. So I could definitely see this one, first of all, being a possibility, but also being a good choice if you're Nintendo. Initially, it would make people pretty mad, I would guess, because you're cutting the roster in half, maybe more. I get people would probably be upset about this initially, but I think for the well-being of the franchise, I don't think it's a terrible idea. And you can still build off of that and make something possibly even better than Ultimate. This next one is a possibility technically. Honestly, I don't think this would happen over the ones I've talked about before, but we also didn't think this was the case when Ultimate was first revealed. So this is technically also a possibility. They just say, screw it, we'll do Ultimate again. Ultimate again would be every character from Ultimate brought back. Every single one brought back. They play like how they do. Maybe some characters get some changes, but about the same amount of changes we saw from Smash 4 to Ultimate. Everybody's back, and you get some newcomers and some DLC characters just like we got, and we would just pass well over 100 characters and get a lot of new stages and get a new story mode. It would basically just be Smash Ultimate, but again, I don't see this happening. Would I be happy if it happened? Probably, yeah, because you would get the character roster you have already and just add on top of it. So, you know, I wouldn't hate it. Obviously, I think there's so many balancing issues that would come from this. I don't know how you would manage all those contracts if you're Nintendo, if that were to happen. That's technically an option. Is that sustainable? Not really, because after the game after that, what are you going to do? You would have to do a full reset at that point if you're jumping past, you know, 100 characters. Like it would just be impossible to manage. The competitive community would not know what to do. Tier lists would take forever to make. It would, however, be cool to see just even more characters added to this already amazing roster. So I wouldn't be too mad about it, but I don't think it's very likely, and I honestly don't think it really should happen. But if Nintendo goes that route, I wouldn't be mad at it. So if I'm honest, this is the route I really want the next Smash Bros. Game to take, and that is a straight up sequel. There's not going to be a massive reboot. It's not a direct port. It's just a straight up sequel. Some characters come back, some characters don't, but we do get quite a few characters back, and we do get new characters to play with, and we do get DLC. It's like Ultimate, but not everybody came back. You know, not every third party comes back, and not every old veteran comes back, but there's still quite a few characters to choose from. You know, there's still a sizable roster to choose from, and we get a lot of new characters. That's what I want, honestly. And I want this, if this were to happen, and to get some decent changes to some older characters, as well as getting a new adventure mode, you know, updates to old modes, and maybe bring some older modes back, some new interesting stages, some new quality of life changes, a better online, updated online capabilities. Like, that's what I want. That's what I want out of this next Smash Bros. Game. Is just improvement. You don't have to bring every single character back. You don't have to bring every single third-party character back. You don't have to bring every single old veteran back. You can cut characters that are old and outdated, and probably people don't like necessarily need to have in the next Smash Bros. Game. You don't need characters like Pichu and Dr. Mario, you know, Young Link. You don't need those guys here. It's cool that they are. You don't need characters like Wolf necessarily. Like, there's a lot of characters that, you know, are neat, and I'm glad they're in Smash, but like, we could probably live without them, you know. It's cool that they're there, but we don't necessarily need them. And maybe characters that just, like, franchises that have too many characters, maybe you cut some Pokemon, maybe you cut some characters from Star Fox, maybe you cut a couple Metroid characters out, maybe you cut characters like Sheik and Zero Suit Samus, who were kind of originally meant to be a part of one character, but, you know, end up being separated. Maybe you cut those characters. Maybe you cut some clone characters, you know, stuff like that. Maybe you cut them to make way for some newer characters. Like, I think that's perfectly okay. But yeah, I think this is the best route they could take, is just make a straight up sequel. Don't worry about bringing everybody back. Room on the roster for characters that should be in a Smash Bros. Game, you know, and make way for characters that definitely could be added, and add something new to a Smash Bros. Game. So those are my options for the next Smash Bros. Game. Let me know which one is your favorite option and is the route that you wish that Nintendo would take, and let me know some other options that I didn't mention in the comments. There are some that I didn't mention. Please let me know what you want to see from the next Smash Bros. Game. Make sure to like this video and subscribe if you enjoy it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to watch the Everyone Is Here trailer to relive some nostalgia.